West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Well, it's the 24th of the month of June and it's a Monday. I want to take this opportunity to welcome each and everybody who had a wonderful time over the weekend, also to a new week, and it's a fresh week where we had a lot of things happening over the weekend. But in Arua City, of course, the biggest event was the ball games that did come to an end. But in Arua City, in the same way, we also did see that the events didn't end in a good way, where we did see also really rowdy crowd members had to be dispersed by the security agencies, where tear gas and live bullets had to be fired also really to disperse the rowdy crowd that had also really wanted to destroy the peace that was at Barifa in Jikuru Stadium. But really that is something we did see happening, but which was also really on a sad note. But we must also condemn violence. And how do we condemn this hooliganism among the students? This is something also really we want to understand, because each and every time we come here, we are talking about students also really wanting to destroy the sporting activities, but really which is on a quite sad note, something also really we must condemn in the strongest terms, because if at all we are not doing that, then definitely we could be doing a disservice. But really that is something we did see happening on Saturday, where we did see students suspected to be from some of the schools within Arua City who also really being behind that is the hooliganism in there. But we must condemn that kind of hooliganism, where we did see security wasting a lot of tear gas. I must say, I don't know how many canisters that security agencies wasted, but this is something we did see happening, where stones were seen flying, where these students also really were seen pelting stones at one another, where they also really attempted to also really throw stones at security agencies. This is something really I must say is wrong. What if the security agency loses control and also really shoots you? This is something also the other day where we may blame the police or UPDF for, but this is something which we did see happening, and this is where we are saying the schools must make sure they tame their students, because if at all they aren't controlling their students, definitely that is something where we are going to be suspecting their students for. But I must, in a similar way, congratulate Monigas Senior Secondary School for the kind of discipline that they exhibited during this period, where we always saw their students being smartly dressed. And this is something which I must say all the schools must emulate, and students of schools like St. John's College Jombati, schools like Arua Public Secondary School, Mvara Senior Secondary School must learn from Moni Girls, and also some also really can be able to pick a leaf from St. Mary's and Joffe Girls, where we didn't see their students very much. It means they didn't release all the students to come for this celebration. Only a few were selected, and by the end of the games, we did see them also leaving the facility, where they didn't witness the chaos. And this is something we did see happening. Maybe somebody could be interested in what exactly happened, but I must say that leaders are actually condemning this kind of violence during sporting activities. They are now asking for schools to make sure that they maintain their students' discipline. And this is one thing also really at the end of the day I feel, if at all, if it's well implemented, and then definitely we may not see such kind of violence engaging also happening among the students, which to me will be quite well, because we did see students also really getting injured, because what we did see there was when the tear gas also really started flying on the air, definitely some students lost control, and we did see them also really falling down. And this is something at the end of the day where we are saying people must desist from tendencies of taking the laws into their hands. Hooliganism is a crime, and I want to also really call upon security and the courts of law to also really arrange these students who are going to be apprehended, because I do understand that scores were also really arrested in the same process. And I want to see those who are found guilty of also being behind this also need to be brought to book. But one thing I must say was identified as a factor contributing to this kind of violence is the fact that also these students were behaving under the influence of substance. What substance am I meaning here? Others had possessed also really drugs such as mairungi or alcohol, opium, and they were behaving under the control of such drugs. But we are saying those who have been selling these substances to these students must be first of all arrested, and then secondly be arraigned before courts of law, because they are the ones causing this indiscipline among the students. Because you know this is a student, but you're selling to the student alcohol, because I did see a number of them actually drinking, and some of these hotspots, I was able to move through them, and I know what exactly I'm talking. But this is something we must also really condemn in the strongest terms, because those who have been selling alcohol to the students, definitely you are doing a great disservice, because at the end of the day, we did see what happened, and you closed your shops, because we did see also really you closing your shops when tear gas started flying. And we are saying this is something we must condemn, and we must not promote it, because at the end of the day, we did see students wanting to attack the camps of each other. But in a similar way, I want to solely congratulate the security forces led by Uganda Police and UPDF for solely manning the situation, making sure that the students don't attack each other's camps. And this is something also we did see happening, where another student from school A moved the pitch. I don't want to mention the names, but we did see them happening. And this is something we must also really say as schools, as teachers, when you're moving these ball games, we must make sure that we control the students' behaviors, because if we're not doing that, then definitely we are going to be seeing exactly what happened, and that is what exactly happened. But we must condemn that in the strongest terms. For now, let's exactly see what happened in there and what the leaders are saying in relation to this kind of indiscipline.
As far as what people have observed and what the ASU chairperson has talked about in discipline, indeed, it is really perturbing, and a solution to this is collective bargain. Let's come together and fight this device. In fighting this, we will now have in place other bodies that have come in. Those days we did not have sports council. I want to announce that we will now have a well-formed sports council. Soon they are going to be functional.
There is one serious concern. Most of the pre-speakers have already hinted. That is the issue of hooligans. Guest of honor, first time when we were here for ball game 1, I personally suffered, and I'm sure some of our big officers today, they fear to come just because of the act of our students. So can we come together and eradicate this vice?
And next time we want to see those who are providing alcohols and other substances during this exercise. We are going to determine them and also get them prosecuted, not only the students, because where do they get them? So we know we have outsiders who are doing the same. These are our own children, these are our own properties, these are properties of the government of Uganda. We need to take care of them very well.
That is it in relation to what exactly happened in there. But somebody could be interested in what has exactly happened, because we chose to start the discussions right from what happened in Arua City in relation to what happened during the sporting activities, which didn't end well. But we are saying students must make sure that they concede defeat. If at all you are not winners, and then definitely we would not expect you to become that rowdy. We are saying if at all you have lost, plan for next year. Your school could be winning next year. But really, on a side note, we have also gotten to discover that sometimes this hooliganism is being fueled and promoted by some of the old boys, we are saying, of which they shouldn't do so, because they need to live by example. As an old boy of school A, you must show the right example. We do not expect to see you also really during morale boosting and also really promoting this kind of injustice, because this is really an injustice we must condemn in the strongest terms. And that is something also really where the details of that will be coming through. That is on the whistle time. Owen Zaga together with Linda Susie will be here to really let you know of how and what exactly happened in there. But somebody could be interested in some of the results that did happen in there. But we are saying for the boys team, we did see also really a number of activities, also the students competing under ball games too. Remember, ball games too is where we did see netball and also really basketball plus athletics also really being put under ball games 2 for the very first time. Some of these activities, for instance, netball used to be under ball games 1 with football, but this time round we did see football being separated. That is also really being alone, and that is where we did see netball being pushed to second term to be together with athletics. And we did see also an introduction of basketball, where we also did see St. Joseph's College Ombachi walking away as winners of the boys category for the basketball side. And we did see St. Mary's also really losing to Mvara Senior Secondary School at the finals, where Mvara was crowned champions for the basketball girls side in there, and 5 teams competed for that. And athletics, we did see also really schools like Arobic also really shining, but in netball we did see Arobic Secondary School taking for the girls side, that is netball. We did also see them also really winning some trophies in there, and this is where we did see schools such as Etiofe Girls and also Moni Girls, not forgetting Arobic Senior Secondary School shining. And more details that will be coming through on the whistle time from 2 to 3 p.m. And remember to stay locked. Owen Ezaga once again together with Nina Susie will be in here, and that is where we want to leave that discussion aside in relation to what is happening in the world of sports. And that is where we chose to begin our discussions right away from, because east or west, we usually say home is the best, and this is where we needed to start off our discussions right from Arua City with what is happening in the world of sports. And during sporting activities, one thing we must condemn and also really make sure that does not happen is the issue of hooliganism, and that is where also really we need to play a part, and me and you definitely have, that is the mandate of also really making sure that does not happen, because if it happens, so at the end of the day we are going to be seeing also really many people being affected by that, and that wouldn't be quite well. And we are saying that case shouldn't happen, and we must make sure that we condemn that. And leaving that aside, now let's look at what is happening nationally, where Rift Valley fever outbreak has been confirmed in Mubende. And really, I don't know why it's Mubende. And last year we did see also really cholera, also really where we did witness an outbreak happening in that area of Mubende. But really, what's happening in there is something also really we need to understand, given the fact that also the Mubende is one of those areas that is very, very much crucial, bordering also really Buganda to parts of also really bordering districts of DRC. And this is something also really we must make sure we talk about, because looking at that area, that stretch of Mubende, it is actually just like Arua City, where we are seeing 2 countries also really being very, very much near. And with the proximity, I believe that would also really be causing a lot of problems in that area. But we did see Mubende Regional Referral Hospital confirming an outbreak of Rift Valley fever, and this information also really comes from an internal memo from the hospital director, and that's something also where we did see the hospital director communicating to the hospital staff. And the moment also emphasized the imperative need of health workers also to respond promptly and effectively, that is to also really mitigate the spread of the disease and provide high standard of care to the affected patients. And that is one thing also really we must make sure that also really goes on to happen, because if at all that does not go on to happen, and then definitely we may see also the disease spreading across the country, because usually we may think that Mubende is very far, not knowing actually the disease could actually move from Mubende to Arua City or West Nile at large. And we are saying the disease needs to be controlled in the strongest terms. And the confirmation follows a positive RVF test that also really came from Central Emergency Response and Surveillance Laboratory, where we did see a suspect also really being confirmed with the disease in there. And the RVF is a viral zoonosis affecting both animals and humans, and also transmitted through mosquito bites or contact with infected animals, blood fluids. That is where we are saying people for this period, my advice to them could be that they need to sleep under mosquito nets and also really avoid eating meat. And this is where we are saying the zoonotic disease, and somebody could be asking what are these zoonotic diseases, and we are saying these are diseases that can actually attack both the animals and humans, and they can also really be spread from one animal to another human being, or a human being could actually spread a disease to these animals. And we are saying this disease is actually being confirmed in Mubende, and we must make sure that we also take care of ourselves against the Rift Valley disease in fever in there, so that solely we get to also protect ourselves and our loved ones at large. In the symptoms in human range from mild flu like illnesses, that is, to severe bleeding, and this is something also where we need to also watch out for these symptoms, so that solely we are not part of the statistics that are going to be counted in this disease in there. And the internal memo outlines case definitions for suspected, probable and confirmed cases of RVF, stressing the importance of swift identification and reporting. And also that is where we are saying for those who may also really feel that they need to also really have themselves tested, we must make sure we rush to also really make sure if at all we are having these symptoms, as also really we are not also really going to contract the disease in there. And that is where we are going to be leaving that discussion on hold for now as we run in for our first commercial break, and that will also really bring us back onto this same topic. But keep your comments coming through if at all you are watching us via, that is our social media platforms on YouTube, on Facebook. We are going to be checking on your comments later on, but for now we are putting the discussions on hold as we bounce back shortly. My name remains Farish Majid.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Mbappe, Cristiano Ronaldo, Harry Kane, Sané, Griezmann, Lewandowski, and many more. Mbappe! Who is your European star? We are very familiar with all German stadia. Trust us to give you the best Euro experience affordably. Catch the matches live on NBS Sport, channel 255 on antenna or channel 199 on Dish Decoder on Star Times. We got your stars. This message is brought to you by Star Times Solar. Star Times Solar, more than just solar.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that short commercial break. We are back. This is still a KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV, channel 477 on StarTimes, and also really online across all our social media platforms, where you can be able to watch us lively. That is each and every Mondays to Fridays, right from the hour of, that is 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock. That is where you can be able to solely watch the news and also have highlights onto what is happening across the globe. And that is where we also really do it for you to keep you informed, because an informed person is actually one that is going to be making decisions that are very, very much informed. And earlier on, we are talking about the outbreak of Rift Valley fever, also in the areas of Mubende. We are saying now, as advised for those who are also already within the area, emergency numbers have already been put in place. If at all you also get to identify that somebody who's having these symptoms, I didn't mention to you earlier on, make sure we report. We not also have to sit down on the suspects that already those who are going to be contracting this disease do not also spread it to us. And that's why we are saying, for those who are going to be having similar like symptoms, we must make sure that we call these emergency numbers that have already been given to us by Ministry of Health and also the responsible officers in areas of Mubende, so that solely those who are having these symptoms can't be taken away from where they are to also these safe places, maybe in isolation centers or what we call these centers where they keep these people who have also these diseases. And this is where we're saying these isolation centers have already been established, and we are looking forward also making sure that this disease does not spread out of Mubende, but rather we want to make sure that also these people are going to be kept in quarantine do not also escape, and that's why we're saying quarantine is actually the way to go. We must make sure that we cherish it, and this is where we want to see those who are going to be kept. First of all, the isolation centers should have maybe the right criteria, should have what it takes, so that solely those who want to live in these areas may not feel like they want to escape. And other than that, that is where we are going to be seeing challenges. But other than that, we also really want to make sure that, and we pray for, that this disease does not spread out to Mubende, because to control this disease really sometimes becomes difficult. We do not want to see any form of that is lockdown happening, just like what happened during the corona period, the pandemic, where life was difficult, and update we are still facing the negative repercussions of the corona period, and we are saying we don't want to witness such activities happening, because the world economy was destabilized, and with the emergency and outbreak of this disease, then definitely we may see the same if at all we do not also respect the guidelines that are going to be issued by the Ministry of Health and the World Health Organization, so that sorry we control the disease, and so that sorry it does not spread out of the areas of Mubende. And that's why we are leaving that discussion aside. Now let's move into faith, and this is in Luero, where the Luero Anglican Bishop has confirmed 147 in first pastoral tour. Is another story that we are seeing on the headlines this morning, where the fourth Anglican Bishop of Luero Diocese has commissioned more believers into the Church of Uganda, with the confirmation of 147 Christians to boost evangelism, and that's something also we are seeing on the papers. On Saturday, we did see this happening, where Bishop Wilson Kiseka rallied the newly confirmed devotees, also preaching the word of God, because the church is sort of servants to fulfill its required also the church duties in there, and that is why we are now saying for those who have already been passed, we must make sure that also we take the spreading of the message of God seriously, because other than that, we are going to be seeing also the people who are not going to be respecting what God is saying and what the books are saying, and that is where we are saying for those who have already been released officially, we are saying we must make sure that we also take the initiative of talking about what is happening in the world today, where issues of drug abuse have become very much rampant, where theft is being and prostitution is on the peak, and we need to make sure we talk about these issues which have been affecting society. Other than that, we are not going to be realizing the advantage of also being passed in there. And we are saying those who have already been confirmed, we must make sure we live a kind of life in the societies where we are going to be living, so that solely the life that we also living is actually one that is going to be admired by the rest of the members of the society. And that is why we are saying we must make sure we are people who are actually very, very much good, and our character must also reflect that indeed we are actually those that got the message about God. And that is where at the end of the day we are going to be seeing also the society changing, because you must make sure that we use the knowledge to actually transform the society. And who exactly is the society waiting for to have also that transformation? We are saying it is actually you, the people of God, because you are fighting the war of brain, and to brainwash, it is also actually your duty to make sure that also the knowledge that also comes from your mouth is actually that is going to go direct into the brains of the people. In most times we have also gotten to realize that people listen to the clergy more than any other person, and we are saying that is actually where you have been charged with that duty, and that is one thing also we are waiting from you. Other than that, at the end of the day, we also want to realize that also you have actually obtained the knowledge, and you have utilized the knowledge very, very well to actually transform the society. At the end of the day, we are going to be seeing behavior change. The issues of behavior change actually very, very much depends on the clergy, and that's why we are saying in all campaigns we must make sure that we do not leave the clergy out, irrespective of the religious differences. We must make sure that also in all activities we are having them incorporated. At the end of the day, remember they actually lead the highest congregations. That that is on weekly basis for the Christians on Sundays or Saturdays. For the Seventh-day Adventists, I do understand that they pray on Saturday, and this is where also they still have the large crowds. And for the Muslims, it's actually more, where they pray 5 times a day. And on Friday, where we also witnessing the numbers very much increasing. And this is where, if at all government had any campaigns definitely involving the clergy, would actually do a great job. And this is where I want to say, the clergy also really in areas of Mubende and across borders of Mubende, we must make sure we talk about the Rift Valley. And this is why we need to, the health workers also need to come and also really educate the clergy, so that so they go back and educate the masses and the believers at large, so that also really, when they are preaching, they also need to talk about health. And that's one thing at the end of the day, to me, will be a plus. And this is one thing also really where I'm saying now, those who have also really been asked, we must make sure that these actually are going to lead by example. And we did see, according to him, global challenges including poverty, corruption and immorality call for dedicated Christians that serve selflessly in there. And this is where we're saying issues of corruption, where today we are seeing some of our members of parliament living in fear, where we are seeing some of our top government bosses also really being under fear for now, because the issue of corruption. We have seen the president of the Republic of Uganda also really coming out, also really very much put a fight against the issues of corruption. And last week on Friday, we are here with Job Richard Matua, and we talked about the issues of corruption, and where he lamented a lot of issues in relation to corruption and how it is being happening and what exactly needs to be done to also really avoid that. And I hope definitely those who watched us on Friday, definitely you must have also really gotten to understand how corruption is being manifested. And this is where we must not have the kind words to these leaders who are actually being involved in these corruption scandals, because they are the ones who have been impeding our fight against corruption. Because many of times we have been talking about corruption, and remember the effects of corruption have also really been put against also really a lot of issues. And that's why we're saying those among the 147 who have also been confirmed must make sure they talk about corruption in areas where they are and in groups also really where they also really live. And we must make sure we do that, because if we not talk about that, and then definitely the song of corruption will be continued to be sung. But who exactly will be able to make sure that also this does not go on? Because we want to make sure that issues of corruption at least must reduce, because corruption has affected service delivery. And that's why we're saying to the clergy, more so out of this 147, my humble appeal to them will be that we must make sure that we talk about issues of corruption. Other than that, that would also really be very bad, because corruption has affected a number of sectors. For instance, infrastructure, we have seen corruption affecting health and other areas. Other than that, we are not also going to be realizing that we are talking about a song that has been sung for quite a long period of time. And that is why we are saying the fight against corruption must start now, because many people have been asking themselves why the president has come out this time round to be harsh on those who are actually affecting corruption fight. This is where we have seen many people asking that question, but we are now also really very much appreciative. I want to make sure that issues of corruption does not go on, and that is where at the end of the day we are going to be realizing that the fight against corruption is actually one thing that we can't be able to solely make sure that we yield the results from. Other than that, because when many times people have been thinking that we cannot also end corruption, but we are saying we may not end corruption, but we can control it, because once we don't control it and leave it like that, at the end of the day, it will be like the new normal. And that is something also really at the end of the day where we may see a number of people being affected. And that is where we are saying the fight against corruption must start with me and you. And this incident happened in Luero, where we did see Ndeje Secondary School head teacher David Balaba Senkungu revealing that the school has a strong chaplaincy under St. Francis Chapel within the school campus also in there. And that is where we are saying these issues must also really be reflected. And this is one thing also really at the end of the day where we did see shortly before the consecration in March 2024, uncertainty loomed over the future of pastoral leadership of the diocese when a section of Christians engaged in protest over nullified bishop election. Remember, this is where we did see also really Luero bishop also really, that position also really having some bit of rift over the way back, where we did see that issues now being resolved. But that's where we want to leave the discussion aside, and now let's look at what is happening happening where at least 5 tourists have been injured following an accident that was along Karuma Pakwach Highway, where their vehicle actually hit a pothole and overturned in there. And what does this show to our tourism sector? It means that we are not going to be attracting more tourists, and that's why we're saying the government of Uganda must make sure that these roads that are actually being used by the tourists are actually kept in good shape. And that's why we're also already appealing to drivers, more so those who are driving on our roads for now, because we are seeing an upgrading happening, but maybe where this accident happened is actually where the team has not yet reached. But we are saying we must avoid issues of overspeeding, started solely those who are going to be using the roads do not actually get themselves involved in accidents, and that would also really mean a lot. And 5 tourists are nursing injuries in Anaka General Hospital in Nyoya district, and that's northern Uganda, after the vehicle they were traveling in was involved in a road crash on Saturday evening, where the survivors include the 3 American female nationals and 2 Ugandans solely, and police identified the survivors as Emily Lopa, a 27-year-old, Miss Jennifer Nasozi, 52-year-old, Miss Hilary Ott Lodges, a 48-year-old, and Miss also Clayton Lopelo, 24, not forgetting that is Miss Clarice Mwesigwa, who were actually involved in that accident in there. And the incident happened at around Latoro, a village where we did see Court Aboyo sub-county. That's around 16 hours, where the crash involved, that's a Toyota Hiace, what we usually call a drone, with the registration number that's UBL 104F, transporting them, that's from Machiso National Park back to Kampala in there. That is where we did see them also being involved in that accident. And Asua West Police spokesperson, that's David Ongom Mudong, say the driver of the ill-fated vehicle is on the run for now, because definitely a preliminary report also already shows that the above motor vehicle was having aboard tourists who were returning also really to Kampala after their tour, but upon reaching Latoro village, the driver hit a pothole. It means that the driver, who is currently on run after losing control, could be driving at a terrible speed. And that is why we are saying that shouldn't happen. For those drivers, we must make sure these are tourists. We must show a leading example, because if at all we are seeing also really such stories being reported that a vehicle hit pothole and overturned, this is definitely going to paint a wrong image for our tourism sector. Remember, our tourism sector is actually one that is generating a lot of money to this country, and that's why we are saying if at all we are not also really respecting the tourists, also really maybe if at all we are not taking care of our tourists, and then definitely many people may not get interested in wanting to come and visit Uganda, despite our beautiful scenery in there. And when we talk about Uganda, definitely the Pearl of Africa is actually one country that is very, very much blessed with a lot of natural geographical features, and that's why we're saying the road sector shouldn't be a barrier to our tourism sector, but we must make sure that when we are talking about tourism, the government needs to come and make sure that the road is actually very, very much well. And very soon we may also see tourists coming all the way from different parts across the world to also visit our tourism country and the destination West Nile sub-region, that is a giant game reserve that is currently being revamped, and where we did see government also through Uganda Wildlife Authority bringing back some animals, in which among others include the buffaloes and many other species. That means very soon we may also see tourists coming all the way from different parts of the world and also want to see what is happening in a giant game reserve. And to me, that will be quite well, because we want to make sure that tourists come and visit and also really bring the money that they have to also really make sure that we share it with the rest of the countries, because many of the times our West Nile sub-region has not been benefiting from the tourism sector, despite having a number of potential tourism sites. Look at Mount Wati. Definitely many people would wish to come and also really see what is happening at Mount Wati, and we also really have some waterfalls in here and there, and many people are not talking about this. It means that also really, as per West Nile sub-region, we must make sure that we market our potential tourism sites, and that is where we must also really tell the world that we have this. We have that Pakwach monument where we did see the solar eclipse happening. We have a number of potential tourism sites. Such already those who are within also and outside can be able to be attracted to what is happening in there, and that is why we are saying now we need to also really make sure that the infrastructure is developed. And look at the way the road, first of all, that connects Pakwach to Ajai. This is where we're saying that road is actually short, and for those who may also wish to use that, but many people are not using it because of the deplorable status of the roads. And we did see efforts over the years by the different local governments, making sure they also need to develop the road. And that is where at the end of the day, we want to make sure this road is developed. And once this road is developed, we are going to be seeing many tourists attracted. We are going to be seeing also the reduction in cases of accidents. But also when we talk about potholes, definitely that does not happen in there. The record of the vehicle was towed at Nyoya Central Police Station. As investigations into the matter have also recommenced, and the cause of the crash has been attributed, that is, to reckless driving. And that's why we are saying to these drivers who are also entitled to drive the tourists, we must make sure that we do not overspeed. And once we overspeed, definitely many people are going to also complain of the way we drive. And but these are whites, they may not be interested in how you are driving, because many times people also want to show the world that they know how to drive. But at the end of the day, it is also really them that are putting the lives of the rest in danger. And that is why we are saying these issues must be avoided. And remember, Chizon National Falls Game Park is home to hundreds of wildlife, including birds, aquatic, and also really floras in there. And this is where we are saying now, when visiting our facilities, for instance, for these aquatics, and when we talk about the aquatics, these are animals that live in the waters, the flora, these are the green pasture. We must make sure that we are attracted, and we also make sure that they are attracted to see what exactly is happening in there. And we need to leave that aside. Now let's look at a sad story happening in Kayunga, where a grandmother has been held, that is for strangling grandson to death in there, which is really on a quite sad note. And we did see that happening, where police in Kayunga district is holding a 59-year-old grandmother who is allegedly also allegedly arrested for strangling the grandchild also to death in there, leaving the home also to play without permission in there. But really, children have the right to play. Is this grandmother really aware of also really what happened? Because many times people not also really understand that children have the right to play, and for a child to play is actually their right. And really, for you to beat a child just because the child is from playing, definitely you may also really be arrested for that. And this is where human rights could actually come to you and saying you are violating a child's rights. And this is where we're saying people must also respect the rights of the children. If I told you a child is going to play in the neighborhood, definitely we need to advise them to come back early, so they come back and bathe. And this is where many times parents and mothers, and mother sleepers, we are actually very much known for beating the children. And that's why we're saying we must make sure that we not beat the children. We rather have to encourage them to come back early, because children have a right to play. And for a child to grow very well, definitely they need to play. And that is why we're saying this grandmother is actually one person who committed 2 crimes, definitely violating a child's rights, and then mother. This is where she should be arrested for, as the matter is already in the hands of police, where I believe police will also really hand over to court, and where court will do exactly what they are supposed to be doing. And now we did see Kayunga District Police Commander Miss Rosette Sekawa on June 23rd also identified the suspect as Habiba Kiden, a resident that is of Busana Cell in Busana Town Council, and also really the deceased boy identified as Jonathan Duku, aged 7 years old. The deceased was a primary 1 pupil, that is at Busana Church of Uganda Primary School. And this is where we did see him also losing his life, that is to the grandmother in there. But really, many times I remember most of the beatings I got actually from my mother was as a result of playing. Many times also really where I returned back dirty after playing football from wherever I went, then day after returning home, you definitely know your mother is going to beat you. But really, sometimes beating is never a solution. We must make sure as parents we actually have also really dialogue being implanted on our children right from the time when they're young. We need to make sure we talk to them, so not solely they listen, but really sometimes our mothers, our fathers think beating is the right thing to do. And I must tell you that your child is going to fear you, but they're not going to be respecting you. However much you are going to beat that child, definitely to reach a time, the child will start also developing that feeling, I will play so long as I know I'm going to be beaten. And once the child develops that feeling, this is the end of this child. And this is where we are going to be seeing this child becoming a criminal, and a big criminal in society. And that is where we are saying parents must make sure that they not beat the children at all times. We must also really make sure sometimes we have a time to talk to our children, and that is where at the end of the day we are going to be seeing a reduction in the cases of also the children's rights being violated. And according to Rajab Mukwaya, the Busana deputy mayor and resident in the area, Ms. Kiden, who has been taking care of the boy since he was 9 months old, on June 21st also got angry when the grandson left home to play with other children without her permission. And that is where the child was seen returning at 6 p.m. and the boy returned home and saw the grandmother very, very much furious. And we did see the grandmother starting to beat the child. And when the neighbors interrogated and requested for the grandmother to leave the child, she never listened and took the child inside. And what happened inside there was the pronouncement of the child also already being dead in there. And that is where we did see that happening. And later on, we did see the deputy mayor, Said Kiden, who was squeezing the boy's head, dragged him also inside. And that is where we did see the child losing his life in there. But really, what does that mean, and what does that show maybe to these grandmothers and maybe to the mothers? And remember, this boy's mother could not be there, because many times we see children also really being produced like that and being handed over to grandmother. But really, this is really a quite difficult situation, because many times it is actually the grandmothers who are protecting their children also from being beaten by the mothers. And this is really something I must say is very, very much unbelievable for a grandmother to really to beat the grandchild definitely to death is really something that is very, very much worrying. It means that the society is really going astray, and that means also maybe the status and the love grandmothers had for their children could be deteriorating. And definitely I must say, for this child who lost the life, we are praying for the soul to rest in eternal peace. And for this grandmother, we expect justice. I believe she didn't also really want to kill the child. Maybe she was thinking of disciplining the child, so this child does not go astray anymore. And that is where at the end of the day what happened was also the death of the child in there. But really, that is something that happened. There is nothing more that we can do to it, but really what awaits now is court to make its final decision in relation to what exactly happened in there. And leaving that aside, now let's look at what is happening in Lubiji, where businessman conditions land. He donated to Lubiji evictees, and that's something also we are seeing on the papers, where Kampala businessman Hassan Burwada has issued also about 3 conditions to beneficiaries of the land. He donated the swamp also evictees last weekend. Also that's something we are seeing on the past morning. And Burwada donated 5 acres of land to victims of continuing Lema also demolitions that have left over 1,000 people homeless and displaced in central also Uganda in there. And the land also offered by real estate businessman, that is Nana Burwada, village also Watuba parish in Kikandwa sub-county in Michena district, and announcing conditions for new settlers on the land. Burwada on Saturday also night said, just like the Lubiji, no person should also be buried on the estate. And that's something where they are going to be living on that land for some period, where these who are going to be given this land, I really want to sort of call upon them not to also really take pride and sort of settle on this land and also get comfortable in there. So that's already when the businessman would also want to develop the land, they will leave it freely. And Burwada, who was also addressing leaders and some evictees, who he hosted at his home in Chigo, that is Wakiso district, already at his already home in that. Wakiso noted that he is ready to pick out most of us already vulnerable so that they get free construction materials. However, also he tasked the beneficiaries to ensure that land remains residential, as saying also no settler will be allowed to set up up facilities such as worship centers and also the schools in there. And that's where we are saying that land will be kept residential. And remember, Luigi evictions have actually raised concern over the weeks, where many people have been talking about the way these people have been evicted. We did see also the opposition leaders, more so those affiliated to national platform, also being also really pushed from that area using tear gas by police and security agencies. But really, many people have also really been raising concern that the petrol station and the police station have remained on the same land also really that is said to be on a wetland. But really, what does that mean? And now we are now seeing a good Samaritan also donating land and also really giving conditions for these people also really to settle on this land. And this is the temporary bill, I believe, where they will be settling on this land for temporary basis. And that is why I'm saying for those who are going to get a chance of living this on this land, we must make sure that we do not get comfortable while settling on this land. At the end of the day, that would mean a lot in terms of also really making sure that we live on this land. And that is something also really at the end of the day where we may see also really when this man wants to develop the land, it could not be this man but the children in the future. And that's why I'm saying for those who are going to get chance of living on this land, we must make sure that we do not get comfortable. And for those who are going to be on it, I want to say we must make sure that while we're on this land, our eyes and our ears must be outside, working very, very much hard to also really ensure that we get our own pieces of land for us to settle in there. And that is where we are coming to the end of the discussions for the first hour. This is the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV channel 477, and also really online across all our socials, where you can be able to access us each and every mornings on YouTube, on Facebook, and also really on X, formerly known as Twitter, where you can be able to watch us lively. That is from that's 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock every Mondays to Fridays. And usually also we bring guests on important topics where we also need to also make sure you, the viewer, gets that comprehensive and detailed information. And remember, this week also we are going to be having a good set of guests starting tomorrow, where we are going to be discussing a number of issues happening that is also within the country and across borders. But for now, let's first run in for this short commercial breather that will be able to bring us into our second hour of the discussion. Stay tuned.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Mbappe, Cristiano Ronaldo, Harry Kane, Sané, Griezmann, Lewandowski, and many more. Mbappe! Who is your European star? We are very familiar with all German stadia. Trust us to give you the best Euro experience affordably. Catch the matches live on NBS Sport, channel 255 on antenna, or channel 199 on Dish Decoder on Star Times. We got your stars. This message is brought to you by StarTimes Solar. StarTimes Solar, more than just solar.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that short commercial break. We are back into our second hour of the show. This is still the KOKOLIRIKO live show on Westland TV that comes your ways every Mondays to Fridays, right from 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock. And remember, up next will be the news bulletin in Lugbarati with Mukulia Lawrence. For those who have been missing him, he's back. And that is where we're saying, just stay tuned. He will be here to also let you know of what is happening in the world of news in the best language. Maybe somebody could be understanding. That is the Lugbarati news also in there. But for now, we still have lots of issues that we need to also discuss in here. And over the time, we have also been seeing a rift that is between the taxpayers and the tax body, that is URA. But now this issue is going to be normal, where we did see traders also really seeking for a solution that is of win-win, that is over taxes, where many of the issues are also really where we did see them also really complaining on that the taxes are very, very much high. And we also did see them also complaining about IFRIS that is quite difficult for them to use, and that's why we're saying now this issue is going to be normal. And this is also where we did see a new solution also being developed, and this is where, as a strategy, to also really make sure so this does not go on. And really, how and what should the government do to also really make sure that the traders smoothly pay their taxes? And that's something also really where we are now seeing to avoid the future run that is in with the taxman, a platform in which the business community, particularly also really the tax traders, also routinely dialogue with the tax policy makers and implementers, and also related matters has been established that is for them to also really come together and also really advocate for their own rights. Also really in the forefront of the initiative is the universities, it is the Investors University, a business consultancy, also really a mentorship institution based in Kampala, whose objective is also to provide a platform that also cultivates a tax system in which both the taxpayers and also the tax collector win also in their at the heart of also the established platform is harnessing also really a win-win position through consensus in there and through regular business dialogue. The Investors University, also the chairman board of the directors, Mr. James Hilary Yiga, says even the current animosity is also by traders over electronic resisting and invoicing system, which is also known as IFRIS, is also including several other tax-related concerns, can also easily be also resolved on a round table rather than also really engaging in street protest. And that's one thing also really we need to make sure we talk about, because many of the times people do not also really want to sit on dialogue, and that is why we're saying these issues have also really been coming on. And really, how can we make sure that also really we do not also really address our issues through protests? Because during these protests, we also really are losing, because each and everybody is losing, where the traders also really lose a lot of money, where the tax collectors already are losing a lot of money, because definitely you are not going to be taxing somebody who has also run away from you. And that is why we're saying the win-win solution would also really work out for me in there. And now the move also really comes at a time when traders' relationship with the tax collector has been unstable over the issues of the IFRIS and also really tax-related issues in there. And I believe now if the two are to sit together, at the end of the day, we are going to be seeing a reduction in issues of also the rift between the taxpayers and the tax body, because by law, as citizens, we are mandated to pay taxes, and by law also really as well, URA is mandated to get the taxes from us, and that means we cannot be able to run away from paying taxes, and URA also really cannot run away from getting the taxes from us. But what does that mean? It means the relationship between the URA officials and also really the taxpayers must be smoothened, and so that also really the citizens get to understand that the duty of them paying taxes is upon them. And how can this be possible? First of all, this is where now we're expecting the local governments and the government to really utilize the money that they obtain from these taxes. Maybe the tax people also really is that so really we get to see the value for our money, and that's where we have seen sometimes people don't want to pay the monies because they are not seeing the values for their monies. But we are saying now people must make sure that they get the values for their monies. And how exactly can they get the values? When they move to the hospitals, the drugs need to be available. Once they move to schools, the schools must also produce the results, and that's why we're saying the UPE and the USE schools must be well facilitated. And when they move on the roads must be well established. And this is where the citizens are going to be seeing the value of them paying taxes. But other than that, people are going to be running away from also the issues of paying taxes. And this is also really where I'm saying the taxes need not to be very much high. Certainly those who cannot be able to afford the taxes can also really find alternative means of doing exactly what it takes for them to pay the taxes. And other than that, we are going to be seeing people still running away from taxes paying. And that's why we're saying people must not be able to run away from tax payments. And that would also really mean at the end of the day, we are going to be making sure we fulfill our obligations of paying the taxes, because to pay taxes is our singular obligations as citizens, and URA also has the money to pick the tax from us. And this is why we're saying over the years, what we have been seeing between taxpayers and tax collectors shouldn't happen, where we have seen people losing their lives, where we have seen people being bantered by officials. Definitely this needs not to happen, because in Western Sub-Region we have also seen that, where some people have lost their lives. And the recent case was in the Madiokolo district early this year, where we also did see URA putting a halt on operations that in relation to impounding of numberless motorcycles. But now the period is actually running to an end, and this is the last week, because from next week, at the beginning of the new financial year, which is beginning on June 1st, we are going to be seeing URA officials back on road. But have you registered your motorcycle as a bodaboda rider watching us this morning, or as somebody who has bought a motorcycle and given out to somebody out there to also do business in there? Because sometimes people who are watching us right now could be able to buy motorcycles and give them out for business. But is this motorcycle a registered one? Because we are going to be seeing URA following the 6-month period that was guaranteed at the beginning of the year. That is following the 4th incident, or that's the 4th January incident, where we did see some people also really happening, also really, where we did see some people also losing their lives in Madiokolo district. But now we are seeing the period is actually running down, where now it was actually put at half price. And this is also really the last week now, and we are saying before the period expiring, those who have not also registered their motorcycle for now, the 1.2 million has been also really chopped, and that's where people are now paying around 700,000 plus additional 100, where the cost could actually just be around 850. And this is where we are saying people must take advantage of the remaining days. Other than that, from next week we are going to be seeing also really numberless motorcycles being impounded in high numbers, because URA operations are going to be heightened. And that is why we are saying we do not also really want to see bloodshed. And how can we avoid bloodshed? And that is only possible if at all we take advantage of the remaining 1 week, because this is actually last week, and from today up to Friday or Saturday or Sunday perhaps, we must make sure that our motorcycles are registered and the papers are going to be given to us as we are going to have our number plates. Because if at all we are not having number plates, definitely we are going to be seeing also really people losing their lives after being involved in scuffle, also really with the tax collectors in there. And that is one thing also that I felt I needed to also let you know of, because the new financial year, which is beginning next month on June, will come with its own experience. And that's why we're saying, for those who are yet riding the numberless motorcycles, keep the space, keep watching on what exactly could be happening to you if at all you do not take advantage of the remaining days. We do not want to live a life of regrets. That is where I'm asking and appealing to you this morning to also really make sure that we take advantage of this remaining 1 week, because this is actually the last week of this promotional period that is running down, and that will mean you can be able to get for you the number plate at affordable price, and that's at half price. Other than that, also really engaging yourself in running battles, because for those who are riding numberless motorcycles, we have gotten to realize that they are never comfortable on the roads. They are never serious, because many of times they are riding while thinking that URA is just behind them. And many of times we have seen also people dying as a result of just riding numberless motorcycles, because once they see a vehicle that resembles or looks like that of URA, already they're in panic. And we need to avoid that quite simple by just rushing out to any URA outlet within Western Sub-Region, because this period was only guaranteed for Western Sub-Region, and have our motorcycles registered. And that would mean at the end of the day, we are going to be avoiding running battles with URA operatives. Let's leave that aside. Now let's look at what is happening elsewhere. Remember, recently the world came together to celebrate the World Refugee Day, and this was actually in Terego district, where we did see this going on at Afua. Now refugees in Uganda, these are from South Sudan, who are now living in Uganda, are appealing to the Ugandan government for intervention. That's to have peace way back in South Sudan. And this is something also really we did see coming out, that is during the World Refugee Day celebration. And now refugees seeking asylum asylum in Uganda have called upon African nations to help and prevail on warring parties in their countries. That is for peace to return. That is also in their country, India. And this call was made during the occasion to mark the World Refugee Day at Rhino Camp, that settlement that's in Terego District, on June 20th, where several speakers also said dialogue will be a lasting solution to bring peace to the young nation of the world in there. Mr. Peter Gift, the Refugee Welfare Council 3, that's officer, said, we as the government of this country to continue engaging also different parties to bring peace and stability in their country of South Sudan, such that also their people can be able to go back, and that would also really mean a lot for the country to develop. And remember, South Sudan is actually the youngest nation of the world, and he urged Ugandan governments to continue with her open door policy of receiving refugees who are fleeing their countries for different reasons and also from different locations in there. And Uganda and other IGAD members have been holding discussions with warring factions fighting in South Sudan to find a lasting solution, so that already those people who have been running away from political instability can now return back after peace being restored in that country. In the latest statistics from UNHCR indicate that the refugee population that is in Uganda has reached, that is 1,680,000, and continues to grow. That is also really over the years, and that's something also already we are saying now. We must make sure that also already these numbers do not go on and on, because if at all we are also already witnessing these numbers, definitely this is quite a huge number, and definitely this comes with its own repercussions on our resources, which may not be able to be enough in there. And that is where we are saying we must make sure that we pray for peace to also return back, because many times we have seen this for calling upon the government that way back to South Sudan to also make sure that peace returns. Because if peace does not return, and then definitely we may not be able to see this for going back, because many times today life is not any smoother for them, because we have seen food rations being cut. At the end of the day, donations have also gone down, because definitely this is having a negative repercussions on the refugees who are now being seen also engaging in farming with the host communities. And that is where we are now seeing it very, very much good, because recently I was at the same settlement that's in Terego District, where we did see also really these refugees doing a tremendous job in terms of already farming and other activities, which I must say should be encouraged to go on, because these people had been depending on food that was donated by World Food Program, but really we did see also already the food also rations being cut down. At the end of the day, that also already had its own negative repercussions. And now also already we have seen some NGOs which had also already been supporting the refugees already bowing out, because the funding had been cut down, and that would also already mean that also already a lot of those who had been depending on support from these also organizations are definitely going to lose out. And the only way for them to go back is actually to also pray for peace, and that is where we are also praying for them to also have the peace once more, because if at all that is not happening, and then definitely we may not be able to see the South Sudanese going back, and that will also mean a lot in terms of their resources already being back, because these people are displaced, and this is also already where we did see war also bringing them here. And I believe nobody wants to live a life of a refugee, because life in refuge is usually difficult. And I remember over the years while growing up, most of the stories that were being told to me by my grandmother, by my grandfather, by my uncles, was how life was never good. That was during the time of refuge in South Sudan, in DRC. But now we are saying, as we are enjoying the peace, we must also really pray for our neighbors to also really have the peace as well. And that is why we are saying, for those who want to destabilize the peace, we are saying we are not going to be allowing that to happen, because we want to make sure that at least we also really enjoy the peace, that where we are sleeping in our houses, it also really goes on. And that is where many people actually also celebrating the NRM government today, and that is already where we also saying we appreciate them for that. Other than also that, we also need to ensure that also the issues of economic transformation also yields results, because this is where we have now seen the government of NRM also really coming out to also make sure that the people who are very much poor today also really have something in their pockets, because today poverty has also really become a problem, because many people are living behind. That's also the buzz of poverty in there. But we are saying much as also the NRM government has its own credits that is to also being attributed to that security, the fight against poverty also really needs to be given also really some attention in there. Other than that, definitely we are going to be seeing also people leaving the country to move, that is in this country, because many Ugandans are living in South Sudan today because they feel poverty cannot kill them. They rather die of bullets in South Sudan, and that's why we're seeing also the many of our traders also facing challenges in these countries as well. And that is where we are saying the issues of poverty now needs to be given some attention, so that solely those who are moving out of Uganda to DRC to South Sudan for greener pastures do not do so, because at the end of the day, we have also seen them living a life that is a bit difficult, where also it has been difficult for them to also really access some of these issues. But we are now saying peace must reign in these countries of South Sudan, which is where we are also seeing a number of wars also coming from that side. Also DRC, some parts where also we have seen political instability also reigning, where we have also seen some Congolese being forced into Western sub-region also as refugees in there, and that would also mean a lot. And this year, UNHCR and partners appealed for that is $858 million US, and also only 113% of the required funds have so far been also received, and leaving 1.68 million forcibly displaced persons who are predominantly women and children, and 2.7 million also the host community members at risk of becoming increasingly vulnerable that is to access of medical and also livelihood and other services, for instance, also which is also being reduced in there. And as part of the assistance of refugee also several projects that have also being developed, for instance, the development response, that's displacement impact, as Dr. Deep, we are also initiated by Uganda government and other African countries with funding also from World Bank to assist refugees in construction of schools, hospitals, and health facilities, and also the environment, also the activities in there. Where in Tarego district, we did see also the impact also of the Dr. Deep also being where we did see them also engaging on planting of trees, that's to restore the deplorable status of the trees. And I really want to say that is really where we did see the credit going to, but much as also where we did see them also complaining about their payments. That is one thing also I want to say, these monies must be paid, because in Tarego district recently I was there where we did see the locals, the farmers also storming the district headquarters, demanding also answers from the cow and the district officials on reasons as to why their monies under Dr. Deep haven't been paid up to date. And many of them actually claiming that for 2 to 3 years now, since the implementation of the project, up to date, they haven't received their monies, and now they're looking for their monies, and they want to be paid their monies so that they can be able to pay the fees for their children, and that would mean a lot for them in there. Now let's leave that aside, but still relatedly to what is happening within the refugees. Now we are seeing the refugees seeking for government intervention in obtaining loans, and sometimes the refugees are finding it difficult to obtain loans. And now we are seeing refugees in Kampala have asked the government to expand the economic empowerment programs such as microfinance to urban refugees, to enable them also to easily acquire loans, to enhance their livelihoods in that. Mr. Mark Mbeke, a refugee from Congo, said unlike refugees in settlements who receive some funds, definitely urban refugees are self-reliant and acquire economic empowerment also to sustain their lives, and that's why they need the monies. And Mr. Mbeke emphasized that refugees engage in business activities, and if supported in obtaining loans, they could significantly contribute to the local economic and also generate job opportunities for the youth also in there. And this was during interaction with Ngabo Youth Friendly. This was during interaction with the Ngabo Youth Friendly Services Initiative, that in collaboration with Plan International in Kampala. That was on June 2nd, where we did see Mr. Mbeke also highlighting the continued segregation of refugees within the countries. And this is where we are saying also these issues also must be given clear attention, because refugees already sometimes struggle a lot to also really make sure they get monies for themselves. And that is where also really we need to also talk about that, because at the end of the day, we need to make sure that each and everybody is empowered. And the good news maybe these urban refugees is that with also really the new GROW project, part of it is also really going to be going to the refugees and host communities. And this is only for those refugees who are going to be engaging in business where conditions have already been put in place. And one condition also really I can't be able to give the refugees is that these businesses must be the ones that are fully registered, and if at all the business is not one that is registered, then they're not going to be qualifying for these funds. And the GROW project, which targets women entrepreneurs, will be going to these women, maybe among those who may come from refugees, where we're saying now they must make sure that they also prepare for these loans and actually apply for these loans. Other than that, that would mean a lot. And that is where we're saying in relation to issues of refugees, we are leaving that aside, and now let's look at what is happening elsewhere. This is in Mecca, where heat wave in Mecca, and now information from there indicates that Ugandan pilgrims are safe. And this is according to information from the officials in there. And all Ugandans who travel to the holy city of Mecca for Hajj pilgrims are said to be safe amidst reports that hundreds of pilgrims have died over the issue of the scorching heat that's in Saudi Arabia, and the officials have said the ones from Uganda are safe, and that is where we also need to pray for them to also return safely in there. And that is where we did see Hajj, which is also a pilgrim, also performed by Muslims, and where they have to travel from different parts of the world to also perform the duties also in Saudi Arabia, India. We have not received any death, although we have also not seen serious cases of pilgrims who were also in bad conditions, but they are also already performing their duties also in India. We have managed to provide the necessary medication. That is according to information from the Secretary General of Uganda Bureau of Hajj Affairs, Sheikh Hassan Bogere, who is also in Mecca, who said in a telephone interview also that according to him also everybody is safe. And we did see also him saying that some of the Ugandan pilgrims arrived in Mecca with pre-existing health conditions, and they are also prepared according to manage them in there. And that is where we are now praying for them to return safely. And this is also where we need to pray for our beloved ones, and so that they did not also engage in serious activities in there. Sheikh Bogere added that some of the pilgrims are weak but not ill also, and they will still perform also their rituals without any interruption. And he also noted that the first and biggest group of 260 pilgrims will return to Uganda on June 24th, and this is where also today where we shall be able to prepare and receive them. And the second group of 240 pilgrims is expected to return to Uganda on June 25th, which is tomorrow, all using Uganda Airlines, and the last group will use Uganda Airlines also already very, very soon for them to return in there. And now the temperatures have reached 47 degrees Celsius, which is really, really above the normal in there. But we continue to pray for them to also really return very, very much safe, because to perform Hajj is actually one of those prestigious activities as a Muslim out there. And very soon, maybe when I get the money also already, I would wish to go for it. And that is also already where I want also to be called Hajj. And really, I believe that name will be good. Hajj Faris will actually be a nice name. And that's where, as the viewer, I need to pray for me as I pray for myself this morning. So that's already when I move to Mecca, definitely I will also return very, very much safe in there. And that is where we are leaving the discussions aside as we continue to pray for those who lost their lives in this process, because many people also lost their lives over this, also the heat wave in there from different countries. But in Uganda, ours are said to be all safe, and that's where we have to praise God for this kind of movement. And we are also really going to be awaiting for them to return away ahead of tomorrow in there. And now to summarize our second hour, first half break, and this is where we also need to look at what is happening elsewhere. Remember, over the years, there has been a truck that was parked at Chaliwajala, where many people actually say this truck talks, and this is after where the owner was said to be delayed, and where we didn't see also this, many people surrounding a lot of myths being said here and there. And now the truck has been disengaged and towed away from that place in there. And over the weekend, this has actually been one of the top stories amongst also the different corridors of also information in there. Many people have also already been talking about this, and more so the boda riders who have the Lugambo have been talking about this as they eagerly waited for the entire process, where they did not work there the very day when this truck was being towed away from that area in there. And the Mercedes-Benz carrier truck that had been parked also really subject to rebuild of black magic tales throughout is illegal, and also really parking along the Chireka Namgango Road in Chaliwajala was actually parked as an illegal place in there. And after several efforts by police to tow the truck away, Uganda National also Roads Authority on Friday announced and also really that they were going to also put effort also to also tow this truck away from that area in there. And many people are just already being surrounding a lot of myths that this truck talks, and if the owner has been annoyed, definitely many people are going to be dying in there. And many people actually died mysteriously under the same issue, but this time round we did see senior engineers, where our own from West Nile sub-region identified as Buni also really was among the engineers behind also really the towing of this truck in there. And this actually raised a lot of information, where we did see also the engineers also really putting also the myths aside, where we did see them very, very much seriously also really engaging also really on this truck removal in there. And human bodies cramped also the vicinity, with boda riders also really parking their motorcycles to animate the black magic tales as they waited to also really see the death also really maybe of our own Christopher Buni and Sempebwa, and also the rest to also really maybe be dead also really in there. But this did not happen. It means that also really that is where the name name Uni did not happen, because Buni in Lugala dialect means also really the grave in there, but really that did not happen. It means also really he raised our flag high, and that is where we're saying this is one thing also really we need to also really praise our people for, because to have that bravery definitely is not something easy, because over the years myths and stories had been surrounded over this same vehicle that was left packed in there, because many people actually say that this vehicle talks. Sometimes sorry that it has been talking, calling names. If at all the owner is annoyed, the owner who died, and this truck was actually used also for towing other vehicles, for moving vehicles from Mombasa to Kampala, where businessmen could buy cars from there, and these vehicles had been packed on this vehicle, but also really due to some challenges, it had a breakdown. That's along Chaliwajara in there, but now officially this vehicle has been towed. And what does it mean for those who have been having these stories that this vehicle talks, that if at all you go and touch it, you die? Definitely these are stories also really we must not believe, but I must say I personally believe in that story. But now those of Buni and also the rest of the UNRA engineers have proved us wrong, that this is actually something that did not happen, and that is where we are saying we must not believe in stories. We must believe in the reality. We must cherish reality. Other than that, that would also really mean a lot, and that is where we come to the end of today's the discussions for now, as we are going to be returning also really with final information, and later on I will be giving you information in relation to what is happening in the world of sports. And remember, the Euros are going on, and I will be giving some of the results. And remember, on Mondays like this, we stretch up to Friday, where our discussions are not limited to only what happens over the weekend, but up to Friday, because our discussions run from Mondays to Fridays. And the highlights of Fridays can also feature on Monday, and that's why we're saying for you to be informed, and where you are solely going to be making informed decisions, then definitely you must watch the KOKOLIRIKO live show each and every Mondays from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. For now, we are running for a short commercial breather that will be able to bring us to the end of today's discussions. For now, stay tuned as we bounce back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Mbappe, Cristiano Ronaldo, Harry Kane, Sané, Griezmann, Lewandowski, and many more. Mbappe! Who is your European star? We are very familiar with all German stadia. Trust us to give you the best Euro experience affordably. Catch the matches live on NBS Sport, channel 255 on antenna, or channel 199 on Dish Decoder on Star Times. We got your stars. This message is brought to you by Star Times Solar. Star Times Solar, more than just solar.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from the short commercial break, and this is something also really where I need to also let you know of. And now we are seeing Job Richard Matua issuing out a warning to, that is Right Honorable Anita Mong, over her role that's also really promoting also what we call corruption in there. And this is what Matua did post just some few minutes on X. This is about 56 minutes on his Twitter account, former now known as X, and this is something we are seeing on also on his handle now. I hereby strongly condemn this public statement made by Right Honorable Speaker. That's Anita Mong. Also, it is improper and also discouraging to those deployed to fight corruption. Members of SEC should summon the speaker and restrain her, who also are appearing too ugly before citizens also there. And that is one thing also where we did see Anita Mong making this also call, where also she asked the voters of Luengo to return back their MP to parliament in there. And what does that mean? This is something also we are seeing a very few minutes ago, posted also on his X handle in there. And this is one thing also where we need to also understand, because at the end of the day, that is really something that something also we need to understand, and really want to make sure that issues about fighting corruption must not be left to one person. And remember, recently we did see government of Uganda also really appointing assistant resident district and city commissioners, and these are charged with the issues about fighting corruption. And why have they been appointed? Because the RDCs, who are also really there as representatives of the president, have been overwhelmed with the issues of fighting against corruption, and that is where the office had to be also really empowered. And we did see also the lot of, that is Job Richard Matua and the rest also really emerging in there. But really now, for those who are also really being apprehended, and also those who are being investigated under corruption, and once we start supporting them like that, then definitely that is also really going to be also distracting the fight against corruption in there, and that would also really mean a lot. And that is where we're seeing also really Matua being very, very much unhappy with the speaker, also really for asking the voters of Luengo to return back their MP, that is Sisi Namuju, who was also really being involved in the scandal against also the corruption in there. But really, how do we make sure that those who are corrupt also do not return back to parliament? Because we are already in 2024, we are just left with less than 18 months to the next general elections. But really, what does it mean, and what exactly should we do? Because in the next 18 months, this is where we need to make sure, and now they're less, actually they should be around 17 months now, that is the next general elections. And that's why we're saying people must now start assessing on who exactly they will be voting in their next also the positions in there. But really, this is where I'm appealing to the voters, most of the electorates. We must make sure that we do not vote corrupt people. And how do you identify corrupt people? This is already where we need to also now vote for people who not give us money, because somebody is giving you money for buying soap. That's already corruption. And how do you expect such a person to deliver? And that's why we're saying we rather vote those whom we call stingy, or those who are broke. That is also really where they may not be able to engage in corruption. But you are going to be voting for somebody who gave you salt, somebody who gave you money, where sometimes only where we see the voters wanting the politicians to pay their school fees, definitely they are going to be engaging in corruption, because they have to recover back the monies through all means. The monies that they have wasted in giving, also in campaigning, definitely they will do all it takes to recover their money in there. But that's why we're saying for those also within this area, in this coming also general elections, we must vote wisely, and we must not vote for people because they gave us the salt, they gave us majani, they gave us sugar. Definitely that is not the reason as to why we must vote, but rather we must vote people who have the clear manifestos. We must vote people who have clear records. We must make sure that we vote people who are honest, and that is where we're saying the kind of leadership that we must return to parliament should be the one, also those that deserve. If those are maybe those who are involved in corruption, we must look at them with two eyes, and that's why we're saying we must open up our eyes as not solely the issues of corruption do not happen. Because look at now, if I told you your MP is going to be among those that arrested, who is going to be talking on your issues? And that's why we're saying the voters now must make sure they vote wisely. Other than that, we are going to be seeing people also really not voting for the right people, and that's one thing also really at the end of the day would also really be very, very much bad in there. And that is why we also want to leave that discussion aside, where also now we are seeing Mityana leaders appeal to IGP over increased matters. This is already another story we're seeing on the past morning, where local leaders in Mityana have appealed to the Inspectorate of Government to intervene and check the worrying cases of violent killings in the district, where at least 10 people have been killed in the central district only in the past 2 months. It's only in there. The deadly attacks have not also really been aimed at the civilians, but also the government officials and police personnel, of whom some have been left hospitalized in there. And the latest victim also was lawyer Mahad Gumisri's son, a 30-year-old who was murdered in the cold blood, with many killings already happening in the area in there. And we did see Ms. Prosi Mwanjuzi, the Mityana resident district commissioner, admitted the security was virtually helpless against also really the killers who seem to pick their targets also really with deadly boldness also in there. And locals say killers are extraordinary people who are recruited and taken through intentional designated plans also really in there. But really what exactly is happening in there, that is something also really we need to also really understand, because we may be talking about what is happening in Mityana, leaving what is happening in Arua, leaving what is happening in Rhino Camp, leaving what is happening in Terego, leaving what is happening in Obongi. Definitely the same could be happening in the areas I've mentioned, and definitely we need to also really make sure that security comes out and also really draw means to make sure that these killings do not go on and on. Because if at all they continue to go on, who exactly is going to be also really at risk in there? It is me, it is our relatives, it's our friends who are going to be affected also really by the negative repercussions of such killers also really in there. And that is one thing also really where I need to call upon each and everybody now to also make sure that also really they talk about these issues. And that is one thing also really at the end of the day we need to make sure that we talk about. And now some of the discussions, Prime Minister Nabanja warns UP school heads against charging fees, and this is something also really we are seeing on the past morning, this morning, where Prime Minister Robin Nabanja has warned school heads in UP schools to desist from charging fees from parents. That's in Kabale district, and the Prime Minister made the remarks while presiding over a belated Women's Day celebration at Kianamira Playground, that is already in Chamira sub-county Kabale district on May 8th. Uganda joined the rest of the world in commemorating the World International also Women's Day under the theme Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress, targeting economic empowerment also really in there. And that is actually where she did also really call upon the head teachers to also really desist from tendencies of asking for money from also really the parents in there. And that is where we're saying those head teachers who may want to charge fees, government of Uganda is actually giving us monies what through also really where we are now also really making sure our children have to go through without paying school fees. But rather sometimes you can't be able to charge maybe for feeding and also really other requirements, for instance maybe assessment fees and other requirements. But for school fees, government of Uganda is also really giving and taking care of that through also really other initiatives. And that's why we're saying that shouldn't be the case, and that must not go on, because if at all it goes on to happen, and then definitely we are going to be the ones suffering the repercussions as also the people who deserve the services, because these UP schools are meant for the vulnerable who do not also really have the monies to also really pay for these private schools, and that will also really mean a lot. And those head teachers who may want to charge fees, we are saying please, you can go to private schools and also really maybe apply there and become head teachers of the private schools. That's also really you may also now charge your monies freely in there. But for us who are in UP schools, we are saying no, definitely the monies must not be charged, because government is paying those monies through what we call the capitation grants. And that's why we're saying these monies must not be charged, because if at all these monies are not also really charged, and then definitely our learners, more so from those humble backgrounds in the rural settings, can't be able to access education, because education remains a key mandate where each and everybody must access it in there. And that is where we want to leave the discussion aside with, and I hope you had a wonderful time right from the time we began until this hour of the morning. And now for those who are sports lovers, we are not going to be leaving you out. Definitely the Euros have also continued to be going on, and on Sunday we did see games happening in Group A, where we did see Hungary beating Scotland by a goal to nil, where we also did see Switzerland also drawing with Germany, that's 1-1. In Group B we also did have games as well, where we did see Ecuador playing also with Venezuela, and the game ended that's 2-1 in favor of that's Venezuela. Mexico and Jamaica also played, and we did see Mexico also beating Jamaica by a goal to nil. And on Saturday we also did see games as well, and where we did see also really games happening. That is also already in Group C, where we did see also already Bolivia and also the USA playing, and that's also already where we did see USA beating by 2-0 in there. And tonight we are also already going to be seeing games as well, and that's where we are also already going to be keeping the discussion locked in there. And remember, more details to this I will be coming through on the Whistle Time with Owen Ezaga together with Linda Susie. And for the sports lovers, definitely they will be giving you that detailed and comprehensive analysis of what is happening in the world of sports, right from football, rugby, and other sporting activities. Definitely the team will be here to also keep you updated of what is happening in the world of sports from 2 to 3 p.m. But for now, we are going to be also having the AOLs and News Bulletin with Mukulia Lawrence, and he will be telling you of what exactly happened in the world of news. And that is where I want to come to the end of today's discussions. I hope you had a wonderful time right from the time we began until this hour of the morning. And from me to you, have yourselves a good day and a good week as well, because we are beginning off a new week, and we want to say let's pray for a good week. For now, I step out, and I will be bouncing back tomorrow for the Tuesday edition of the KOKOLIRIKO live show. My name remains Farish Majid.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Berry Cottages is a stylish establishment which features accommodations with a restaurant, free private parking space, and a well-stocked bar located at Owata, Arua City, approximately 4 km on Arua Pakwach Road, 10 minutes drive to Arua City. The facility also has exquisite deluxe rooms, secure children's play area, and free Wi-Fi. Built for both the Ugandan business traveller and the international tourist travelling to Arua, either on a budget or on holiday. The rooms at Berry Cottages are just right for you. Choose to sleep in a comfortable Annex 1, Annex 2, or the deluxe away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Berry Cottages. Refresh and reconnect.
Bellingham, Mbappe, Cristiano Ronaldo, Harry Kane, Sané, Griezmann, Lewandowski, and many more. Mbappe! Who is your European star? We are very familiar with all German stadia.